All right. Welcome, everybody, to another Rebellion in 1 hour video. In this video, I am playing my friend Grant. Grant will be playing the side of the evil rebellion, and I will be playing the part of the order enforcing imperial folks. All right. So let's take a look at this setup. No Corellia. I do have a loyal Mustafar. No Rhodia and loyal Bothawi. So I would describe this as a fairly weak Imperial setup, with the key piece being that Mon Cal is not loyal. So when you have a situation where Corellia is neutral and Mon Cal is neutral, and you can cover either one of those, sometimes you can get lucky and pull off a rule by fear. Oftentimes, if Mon Cal is loyal and say Corellia is subjugated or Corellia is neutral, oftentimes Riken will just open up with a sabotage and ruin your day. So just something to think about on there. So I will stick a second assault carrier in Selust or Celeste with the idea of sending one to potentially liberate Mustafar and or send it down to Bespin. I do have Mahdi. I think taking Mahdi in this situation is not a great idea. However, I cannot help myself. I always take Mahdi, and sometimes regret it, sometimes not. If you take Mahdi, you only get 3 moves, and it makes it real difficult to pull off a rule by fear. It just does. So, or at least that's in my experience. It's also tough to threaten Tarkin's mission by just putting Tarkin on a card. And it guarantees the rebels can get away with a sabotage because they have last movement, so they can wait out your leaders, and unless you want to keep Vader in reserve to block something, you oftentimes are just setting yourself behind on turn 1 in exchange for 2.5 or so extra moves in total. So I like the extra moves. It's always why I take Mahdi. All right, you can see here I put Vader on a card, and I actually put him on hunt them down. It probably should have been a capture. Could have grabbed Dodonna right there, but the idea of hunt them down is I can neutralize that fleet pretty quickly. I can get rid of the transport. The troopers are stuck. Then there's just a single Y-wing behind. Now, in hindsight, I don't actually know how good that is. We'll see what Leia's up to later here. Since she doesn't have anything to block, she can then just use the Y-wing if she still wants. So, yep. So Riken off to sabotaging Seleucami because he knows I don't have anybody on R&D at this point. Also don't want to spend Vader to block that. And also, or Tag to block that, I meant. Alright, so now that Tag is off, we'll move the Star Destroyer up north with the idea of sending the Star Destroyer to Utapau, and then probably the Assault Carrier off to Rhodia, and keep one Assault Carrier behind to go down to Bespin. You can see Leia moves to blockade Mustafar with that lone Y-wing. And honestly, I didn't really consider that. So now I could move the Emperor out. Moving the Emperor out there would eliminate the Y-wing. I would likely lose my assault carrier. I think in hindsight I probably should have done that. But instead I'll gain an assault carrier by going this direction with the Death Star and grabbing Ord. Mothma to grab Utapau. And fairly normal first turn here. I don't know how I feel about using hit and run that early, but you know what? We just went with it. Some of you may be wondering why I didn't play trade negotiations. I still like doing that when Leia's behind. Even rolling 3 with the Emperor, 2 against Leia, R2-D2 just seems like a nightmare. So I'd rather try to pull R2 out on a rule by fear or something if I can do that. All right. So pretty abysmal build here for the Empire. That happens sometimes. Just have to catch up. The other nice thing about having Mahdi is you have an extra logistics, so you can just start running R&D in projects. If you think about it, Mahdi puts you back one move in the beginning, but if Mahdi then R&Ds and builds super star destroyers, he earns that movement back pretty quickly. All right, so rebels deploying a couple couple on the board, couple in the base, and then Imperial's kind of spreading out a little bit. Okay, we got Han Solo grabbing his friend Lando. I don't love that because now I've got, now capture's not quite as good either. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use Yularen now to potentially eliminate that area. Oftentimes, when I play Grant, the base is an Endor. So I like eliminating that as an idea now. Kind of frees up the assault carrier, but kind of not, because you have to worry about if you totally abandon that area, the rebels can just rapid mobilize and go back to Endor if they get a lucky draw. So helps a little bit. See what happens long term here. So turn 2, I could play trade negotiations here. It's not a build turn, but I have a stormtrooper on queue to deploy on to wherever I grab loyalty on, and he doesn't have anybody left to block, so seems like an okay time to do that. Okay, Riken's going to grab a card with secret mission. And then that's a nice play because he knows I'm going to attack there, and then he might as well get some rerolls out of it with Riken. If you've seen some of my other videos, I have a hard time subjugating Utapau sometimes. My luck does not work very well there. Okay, Dathomir and Cato for probes. Pretty good so far. So we drew Ryloth, we drew Geonosis. We know he's not down in the Endor region. So Dantooine, Ilum, Yavin, Kessel, that sort of game. So Death Star's got to move around a little bit, probably shift the Star Destroyer over in that direction. And I'm considering attacking with Vader. I actually reconsidered momentarily to go with Tag. Partially because I have such bad rolls with Vader. So, although didn't want to be too superstitious, so we'll just put them out of their misery quickly here, hopefully. Flip the combat. Let the rebels roll first, and nothing for either rebel. They block that black hit that I rolled there, and I don't think either Grant or myself noticed that. So if you'll notice, I moved everything over into Utapau and then retreated, leaving an ATST behind and a stormtrooper. Now the idea behind that is if I leave the striker as well, yeah, now we're noticing that I shouldn't have done that. So we'll re-roll hits. There we go. So eliminate the one, leave the other guy. Leaving the striker card there threatens a cancel, but instead I'll just eliminate a troop to guarantee the hold and then cover Utapau here. Now that can be especially good combined with like Imperial propaganda or something like that. And you'll see I managed to cover 2 spaces. Now we knew Geonosis wasn't the base, but we do get in a spot where we can cover Tatooine pretty quickly here too, or Ryloth if we needed. Some of you might be thinking, well, what do we do about Naboo? Well, we still have the assault carrier. We can always move back there next turn if it needs to. All right, drawn some probes with Admiral Ozzel's card. Notice I'm drawing them early here. and then flip in Mon Cal to Imperial Loyal. And then we've got tag. We're going to go ahead and check Ilum. So we're trying, in this particular strategy here, the thought process is we're trying to cover areas as quickly as possible. Didn't pay any attention to cut supply lines. He scored it here. I'm not really putting any effort into blocking loyalties or anything. We're just trying to figure out where the base is early. Okay, Nal Hutta and Alderaan. So those are decent as well. So now we have Tatooine, Kessel, Dantooine, and Yavin as the likely spots on the map. I mean, it could be Corellia and Malastare, or maybe Kashyyyk would be if he was trying to get a early kill or something. We'll see. All right, drew Jabba the Hutt with that's sort of almost an automatic card when you start with Mahdi, assuming you haven't lost any leaders yet. So we got Jabba. Got a couple guys to deploy here. And probably not a bad idea to drop a assault carrier in Mandalore maybe this turn. I think I got to put the trooper up in Mon Cal, because I don't want them to just flip that back to being neutral, especially because I don't have the probe. Yep, there we go, that makes sense. So here we can check Yavin, check Tatooine, and then hopefully at that point we have pretty good pacing. If not, then I can move the Death Star up to Megiddo and put a lot of pressure on everybody there. So no leaders back. So we got fair play if we want to try some missions here. I think this might be a good time for removing some sabotages. So I'm going to put Mahdi out, put a Rule by Fear out. Looks like I might be gathering intel too. Mahdi's card always lets me down, but I can't help myself for trying to play it. It's 1 in 3 chance of losing a rep. That's pretty darn good. If I get lucky enough with that seems pretty good. Okay, no R&D. I think that's probably a mistake. But I'm trying to adhere to my rule of don't do too many missions early on. Make sure if we're trying to find the base, make sure we're actually trying to find the base and don't get stuck trying to capture and do whatever. So hopefully maybe draw a good probe or two. Maybe eliminate Yavin, which would be nice. Ooh, and we're leading the strike team out in Geonosis, nice and early. Whether or not to block that, I'm probably not going to block that since it's Han Solo running the mission. I mean, without a subversion, probably no chance. But, he's probably trying to score crippling blow. If he actually is on Tatooine, that's going to be pretty tough. So I think the right move here is to roll with Vader. Okay, Vader does not get it, but I'm not particularly worried about confrontation here right away. He'd have to roll 3 hits to pull off confrontation, and then I would need to not roll any heals, and then I can retreat if I need to. I can retreat back to Utapau, which isn't terrible. Okay, so he's going to tow cables. And then I'll do 2 damage. And then I'll roll to try to wipe the other guys here. Okay, so he's got damage on the trooper. I've got 2 on the speeder. And he's going to roll for extra hits. And pulls off an extra hit. Okay, so we have 1 damage speeder, 1 full speeder, and a troop. So I don't think Vader's... to see how his roll goes here. We got 1 speeder, a troop, and a wound. So speeder's alive, my stuff is dead. I can retreat now because there's things that are alive still. So I think the right move is to leave the TIE fighter and then retreat Vader back to Utapau. Now, again, not ideal because I kind of wanted to cover Naboo with that assault carrier, and I can't do that now. But Vader does prevent the sabotage on Utapau. I do reload my forces, and ultimately not too bad. He's got a snow speeder that's stuck under a TIE fighter in there, which is nice. All right, and we gathered intel with a little bit of a disappointing draw there. Just one. Would have been two, but Grant does an excellent job of emptying the base right before I am gathering intel, oftentimes with a hidden fleet, that time with the lead the strike team. So just one, grabbed Corellia, was probably going to go there anyway. All right, Yularen's got to get some sort of ship presence up north because at this point I'm pretty sure he's in Tatooine. Otherwise, why lead the strike team there if you're not going to score a crippling blow? You can see Mothma got some units on the board, flipping Mon Cal back to neutral, subjugated. Kind of an interesting pick there, but they're definitely stacking up on Mon Cal right now, which makes me a little nervous because if I move the whole fleet away from there and they just take it over, that would be a really bad rebel cell location, for example. Actually, there's lots of bad rebel cell locations here right now. All right, in the spirit of going after the base, Tag is checking Kessel now. So again, if you remember, Tatooine, Kessel, Yavin, Dantooine are sort of our major polls right now. All right, more nonsense in, yep. Okay, so now we've got a loyal Mon Cal, and now we're open for a hit and run there, unfortunately, and there's not a lot I can do about that. I don't want to play Mahdi yet, because Chewie's probably on Sabotage, and maybe I can get something out of that. You'll notice Chewie's on the Falcon ring. Means I don't need to worry about the Wookiee Guardian card. All right, this is a little bit of a disappointment, but Emperor's got to go to Corellia because I gotta get some troops on the board. Emperor on Corellia, Tarkin on Rule by Fear. That'll give me pretty good odds for it. There's the hit and run to clean up Mon Cal. So a lot of leaders committed to doing that. That's also why I like to leave an ATST and a TIE Fighter on Mon Cal, especially if it's loyal, because a single hit and run can't clean it by itself. And I don't have another troop to move, so he's just going to get that extra card. Leia on Subversion to block the Rule by Fear. I have the Emperor stacked on top of it. Leia blocks it, does not even need to use R2. So that's disappointing. Again, partially why I dislike Leia. And Lando on Contingency Plan to probably ruin my day and gain another level 1 objective here. So I'll wait for him to pick before I reveal Mahdi's card. And my guess is he's going to score Huts or Regional Aid with this turn. But he's going to let me remove some sabotages, which is nice. And then nothing left to go on my end, so we'll have to see what Lando's on. Lando, Alliance, and Cato. Okay, so he's not scoring any level 1 objectives with that contingency plan, but he is getting another speeder. Base is a little bit low on troops, so that makes some sense. All right, let's see who I get for probes here. Utapau and Naboo, not super helpful. Again, Tatooine, Yavin, Dantooine. And Ended up doing some missions that got blocked. Instead of trying to get a Star Destroyer, I could have just moved my Death Star into position, but alas, I did not. Alright, I got a loyalty card, so I can fight back a little bit on some of this loyalty that keeps popping up everywhere. And this is going to be a big turn for the Rebels, so got a Mon Cal in the base. A lot of other guys to deploy, and then we got 2 more Mon Cals coming down the queue. And still no Star Destroyers on the map. Probably would have been a good game to run projects rather than to try to force the rule by fear. Playing Mahdi's card gained me an ATST and a TIE fighter, but in theory, had I just been ruling, instead of trying to run rule by fear, if I was just running R&Ds and secret mission, which I have in my hand, and then putting my leaders on top of those development cards, I might have an interdictor or a super on the queue now, which would have been nice. Something to try to combat those Mon Cals. So we're definitely going to have a big fight on our hands here. At least big on one side. See how many Star Destroyers I can get out in a hurry here. Got some Y-Wings all over the board too. That is going to cause a problem for my assault carriers. And then with no real replacements on the queue, that's not a whole lot of fun. Got 1 assault carrier on 2 and 1 assault carrier on 1. So let's see what Grant decides to put his leaders on here. He's got a good blocker with Chewie, good blocker with Medine, good blocker with Leia. Versatile guy with Han. Here we go. All right, Medine wiping out these troopers. So he's got to be in Tatooine. We're bluffing real hard up there. And unfortunately, now there's about 1 million good spots to drop a Rebel Cell. So if Grant ends up having Rebel Cell in this combo, that's going to be bad too. All right, I'm going to play Soontir's card to take out a Y-Wing in Bothui. I don't know about this, but I guess that's what I'm going with. I can't really afford to lose an assault carrier, so I think it makes sense to just wipe the Y-Wing. And then Soontir rolls all blanks, but luckily I lasered it. So I think my thought process here is that I can have that assault carrier go up to Rhodia if I need to, or I can have it go into Bothui if I want to go that route too. And I don't have to risk losing it to the Y-Wing, which would be a guarantee. If I lost that assault carrier, I'm even further away from checking to see whether or not we're in Tatooine or not. So we'll run a display. We're going to gather intel, keep drawing those probes. I'm sitting on carbon, but there's really no efficient way to use it without collect bounty. So I think I'll have to continue to hold off. I really think I should be playing Secret Mission and R&D here. I need some. I don't have a lot of great missions to run. I'm holding on to 2 capture missions, and I have no intentions of capturing anybody. All right, Han running the hit and run. So here's my thought on hit and run. I would normally spend Vader. If there was a card that said put an assault carrier on the map, I would spend Vader to do that. Let's say it was a 3 fist mission. So oftentimes if somebody tries to hit and run with less than 3 dice, I'll block with Vader, and I feel like that's a good trade. Yes, you can't move the assault carrier this round, but you can move it next time. So, all right. Drew a gather intel, drew, then shuffled through a couple of objectives here. No great progress with the intel, so just going to have to keep searching here. Now, I like gathering intel even if I have mostly subjugated areas, because I like the idea of limiting the spaces that the rebels can rapid to. Sure, there's plant false leads, but the more of the probe deck I control, the more I feel good when they start trying to move the base around. All right, Lando dropping a sabotage and Ord. Kind of makes me lean towards maybe Dantooine's a possibility too. A little nervous about moving the Death Star out there, but at this point, you know, you only live once, right? Especially if you're a Death Star. Well, then I guess you technically live twice. All right, leaving a fighter behind. Yeah, come on, don't abandon Ilum. I don't know what I'm doing there. Always leave something behind. Again, I just talked about controlling the probe map, and now I just leave something blank intentionally. All right, this board is way out of control. Mothma gaining loyalty and what appears to be Bespin now. I don't have any troops in the southeast region. I have a very exposed Death Star next to sabotage systems in Megiddo. I have, you know, nothing to deal with any of the rebels up north except 2 lightly armed assault carriers. And apparently I'm just committing the rest of my forces over there too. So we're going for it. We're just all in on Tatooine right now is what's going on. All right, and a rapid. Let's see what happens here. Display of power in Utapau, trying to limit the chance of a rebel cell there and bring my fleet back to some sort of semblance of usefulness, and Leia coming in to block it again. All right, 2 blocks for Leia. R2 still on the map. Doesn't feel very good. And yeah. All right, Mahdi. Can try a rule by fear somewhere. Grab it in Corellia, I guess. You know, I could have tried to run Rule by Fear first. I think because it's not a build round, I think Grant still would have passed with Leia and just blocked whatever the Emperor was on. I had already gathered intel, so he was most likely on a loyalty mission. So that's what we got. And that's why I don't like running missions as the Empire. All right, Hoth and Bespin. That's okay. I would have liked Endor, but beggars cannot be choosers. All right, let's talk about this turn. We've got Megiddo to Dantooine, which needs to happen. We've got Kashyyyk, which could be the base. We've got Bothui, which could be the base. And we've got Tatooine that could be the base. Now, if Bothui had 2 soldiers on it, we could just attack it and then retreat into Tatooine because everything's subjugated nearby. But unfortunately, there's only 1 soldier, which chances are I kill him whether or not I want to. I'm going to grab Krennic's Finest on Secret Facility. I grabbed Tarkin's card here too. I mean, I've had some loyalty cards, so I can't really complain about the missions. I just haven't gotten a chance to pull any of them off yet. So, all right, here we go. We're going to drop Assault Carrier in Corellia with the idea probably of splitting up and going to Cato and then the Star Destroyer to Celeste, maybe. Not entirely sure what the thought process there is. I said in another game, there's usually a turn where I run 1,000,000 probe missions and then immediately regret it. Another common thing I do is I get too focused on covering non-important squares. For example, Cato, where I want to make sure that I can cover it even though I already have the probe, instead of putting it like up by Malastare where I could use it to assault the base potentially. But who knows? Who knows? All right, we're running some loyalty here, some intel. I'm plopping Mahdi out to try to bluff that I'm doing R&D, because apparently in this game I'm totally against doing projects, which, I also don't want to build capital ships. So I don't want to build capital ships, and I don't want to do any projects. So I don't know what I'm thinking, but you know what? Why not? So let's take a look at the rebel missions. We've got a leader on 2 right now. So we've got Chewie and Riken on what most likely is rapid. Chewie prevents planetary conquest is the idea. Okay, opening with infiltrate makes me think maybe I'm not right next to the base. So I'm leaning towards Tatooine still. I'm going to go ahead and draw my probes first before Grant can exit the base, and before Grant can exit the base or empty any other pieces to it. Leia and Lando are on a mission. I'm assuming that's probably public uprising. I'm going to draw Kashyyyk and Bothwy. So still waiting on Dantooine or Tatooine, but we've got really good control of the probe map right now, and it's only turn 5. So, and I'm hoping to be able to fight back with loyalty missions here too. Okay, covert ops. So we got a rebel with a handful of objectives now, and I got to get my fleet out east sort of organized again. So we'll pull out of Utapau with the idea of maybe I'll have to go to Rhodia. And interestingly enough, the base is actually in Rhodia. I did not anticipate that. All right, so Han Solo is attacking out of Rhodia into a leaderless Malastare. Or will I put a leader there? No, I will not. Okay. In these type of situations, if the fleet is forsaken, you really just want to kill starfighters. So any critzy roll you want to put on starfighters, you're going to be rolling second here. So any hit you roll is pretty good. So, sometimes if I have an extra move or an extra leader I was planning on using, sometimes I'll just drop a leader there to, to re-roll that black dice and maybe kill the third. Or kill the second, starfighter there. Only got 1. It's kind of a bummer. Would like to have gotten 2. And then he'll flip the combat, and I'll do a damage. So we have 3 speeders there. And only 1 damage so far. He'll heal that and wipe all 3 of my units. Looks like a decisive victory to me, if I've ever seen one. Oh, nope, maybe not. He's going to leave 1 trooper alive. Retreat back to Rhodia. He can do that because he left an X-Wing there. So he can retreat back to his unit even though he's got loyalty in Cato. And going to block a hit. Try to roll a crit here. Nope, no crit. 1 damage. But I blocked it. Alright. We'll play another card, I guess. Oh, just for him, not for me. Okay, no hits for him. I'll say no card next round for him. Try to keep him at 1. Nope. And then my move, I'll do a damage. And then I need to roll a crit. Nope. And yep. Okay. So I guess, is that a decisive victory? Yeah, I think it is because he wins the ground combat or the space combat first and then the ground combat later. All right. So 2 objectives down. And then I got to start regrouping here. So the question is, do I pull the Death Star away? Or do I keep it there to cover Dantooine to prevent the rapid? Not that I think he's got a great rapid or any, he doesn't really have a reason to rapid unless he's going down to Endor. Why not? Okay, so Hidden Fleet with Leia to pull all the troops except for the X-Wing out of the base over to Endor. Yep. All right. I'm going to go ahead and cover Cato. Now the reason for covering Cato here is I got to move the rest of the fleet up to Selust, or I need to not walk into double Moncals being deployed in Bespin is what's going on here, or into Rhodia. So we got that too. So, okay. Let's see what order I want to play this in next. Got a bunch of loyalty missions. Go ahead and strip the loyalty in Naboo, dummy. There we go. Strip it in Naboo. And then loyal Selust. Yeah, no, let's do that instead. That makes more sense. Because he's not on sabotage, so we can still build in Selust if we want. And he's going to rapid. Secret facility in Moncal. It's kind of a fun little move here. Fight the Y-Wing that's there. And if I can manage to kill it, which I should be able to do if I play the TIE Fighter card. I mean, in some worlds I save that, but it's so important to not have that be blockaded that I wouldn't want to risk rolling a blank like that. Ended up pulling that off. So I got a subjugated Moncal now. Okay, so where can he rapid to? He can rapid to Dantooine, or he can rapid to Endor. Something tells me he knows Endor is in that deck still. And we got Jabba the Hutt on trade relations. Now, probably Bespin, I think. I don't know. That's my thought. But I guess I'm also having thoughts while I'm playing this game, too. Apparently that thought is to neutralize Kashyyyk, which I have no idea why I'm thinking that. Maybe I don't want Moncals in Kashyyyk. I don't know. All right, so let's head over, get our business done over in Malastare. Leave a trooper behind to build an assault carrier next round, or to be a good target for a sabotage. And then now we're both on, play a next card. I think the right move there is to actually not play another card and just tell him to not heal. I mean, it is Vader. That being said, it's Vader. I'll probably roll all blanks here. Woe is me. And he'll play another card and tow cable something, I'm sure. I guess I decided to play another card too. Good thing I did. Well, no, I guess it doesn't matter. All right. Could have saved it. And then can roll for a heal, but I think probably unlikely to get it, and just take the one in the bag. All right. Malastare covered, so he can go to Tat, he can go to Endor, or he can go to Dantooine. So I don't move into Selust, because if I move into Selust and I don't have a ton to deploy there, and he deploys a couple of Moncals in, I'm just going to lose whatever I put there. So I guess the thought process is I'll cover Dantooine, and then pretty quickly I realized that I forgot to leave something behind in Ilum, or I chose to not leave anything behind in Ilum. So you can actually go to Ilum too if you want. So that's why you always leave something behind. So we will see. So he knows what cards are left. Grab to Endor. I'm sure it's Endor. It's got to be Endor. It's always Endor. Endor is my nightmare. Little rebel sympathizing Ewoks. All right, and then we're off to deploy. Let's see if I draw any useful probes. And there's my rebel cell. Why not? Was that a rebel cell? Yeah, I think it was a rebel cell. All right. He's deploying up in Nalhutta. And good news. Oh no, it was Show No Fear. So moving to Endor and Show No Fear. So Show No Fear puts you on a clock. So really don't have that much time left. It'll take me 1 turn to move to Celeste, 1 turn to move to Bespin. There's no independent operation to worry about. There's just the Millennium Falcon. Han's already used his card. And Madine's already used his. So we just need to make sure we get these capital ships out on the queue. So I've got a assault carrier coming out next turn. Hopefully that can come out in Celeste. And then I've got a Star Destroyer coming out the turn after, which hopefully can come out in Bespin. Then we can have the base battle, assuming everything else goes according to plan here. Now, this is also the part of the game where the Rebels start scoring tons of objectives in a very short amount of time. Many a game I have lost on turn, 7, 8, 9, when objectives just start coming out like crazy, and then you mix that in with Show No Fear, it cripples everything really quickly. On top of it, I haven't been super great with my loyalty rolls, so he's pretty close to Uprising as well. Tarkin's card helped last round, but not enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so a couple of loyalties. So at this point, you pretty much have to start playing Rule by Fear every turn and hoping to pull some stuff off. You've also probably got to try to get a leader captured to prevent easy objectives from scoring, because he's going to get 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so if you look at the objective map, if he doesn't score anything but Show No Fear for 3 turns, the game will be over. So I'm on a very tight clock here. 1 move to Celeste, 1 move to Bespin, no leader to defend the Bespin attack, and then a final combat in Endor is the goal here. Also, for secret mission, or not secret mission, secret projects, secret weapons research, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for. I'm thinking I need a build over a sabotaged area for Bespin particularly, because if he decides to sabotage Bespin, I will not be able to unsabotage it without Construct Factory. So, I guess we'll just see. All right, Yularen is drawing probes for, again, not a real great reason outside of I don't have much else to be doing. So, it seems like I have a lot of things going on, but I also have 9 leaders, and I only really have 1 fleet to move around. Everybody else just to block stuff. So we'll draw a couple of projects. That's not the worst thing in the world. According to, the project card I pulled that lets you pull a Star Destroyer off the map, that'll let me actually deploy in Bespin as well if I time that well enough. Now, there's a pretty critical issue going on here at the moment. I've actually drawn the Tatooine card, and I have not marked Tatooine off on the map. So one of the things, and here's Chewie murdering my assault carrier, so I'll try to block that with Finest here. I can't afford to lose an assault carrier. Roll 2, so I blocked that. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, we'll see how this goes here. Blocking Chewie also opens up the opportunity to try to capture him. I know that seems crazy, but he doesn't have Wookiee Guardian, and I don't want, I need to be able to capture somebody. So I could go for Lando up top. I could go for, I don't know. We'll see. I'm deciding to go after Chewie. Don't think I'm making all the right plays, but one of the big pieces to this puzzle is that I still think I need to cover Tatooine. So I also think I can't afford to leave an assault carrier behind to do it because of potentially another hit and run. So I choose to leave a Star Destroyer behind. I think that'll end up being a major mistake. I'll probably wish I had that in battle, is my guess. All right, let's see what happens. Rapido. No idea why you'd move out of Endor, but we're gonna try it and capture. I guess we're capturing. Yeah, let's capture Chewie. That's the right way to do it. No, be a man. There you go, Soontir. All right, we got 4 regular dice and 2 little dice against 3 regular dice. Odds are on my side. He's going to plop Han there for 2 more. So, yeah, odds are on his side. But, it would have been the case even if I went after Lando. So I think this is good. And luckily I pulled it off. So we got a capture token out. And also removes the Millennium Falcon. So no rescuing next turn. And then we're going to double down with Vader here after Leia does her thing. Okay, Leia's moving everything away, which is lucky for me because I think she'll have wished she was in on Carbon Freeze. This is also a giant mistake. Making that loyal... making that loyal is tough because then I can't retreat out. But I guess, because he's got the Y-Wing there still. So I think I should have left that subjugated and just stripped Cato loyalty or something along that lines. But I was too excited to try to freeze the Wookiee. So we'll see if we can pull this off. This is on my Imperial Bingo list. If you guys haven't seen that before, Freeze Chewbacca is definitely on the to-do list. I think it's like this one right above the center square too. And it works. So we got a Wookiee pop. And that also puts me back a critical turn as well. So I can afford to give up an objective now, and I'm still on track. And here's Tarkin wiping an X-Wing. And the idea here was he's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 locations, actually 3, 4, 5. He's on 6. So this is partially trying to cover Tatooine, also partially trying to prevent Rebel outposts from scoring. But this did not need to be a Star Destroyer, I don't think. All right. That's toast. Tarkin's out. And then now, after Rapid, I look at my cards and you can see how they're face down now. I notice Tatooine is there. So at this point, I'm only missing Endor. I've got a mess up in Nal Hutta. I've let the sabotage go through to Kessel, which means I can now lose to seize control, which would not be great. And we scored a show no fear. So I have 1, 2, 3 turns left. So that gives me a little bit better chance. I can move to Bespin. Next turn, I can fight off an attack. And I am on Planetary Assault. Now, here's the problem with Planetary Assault. If he reveals, let's say he rescues Chewbacca, which is likely, and Chewbacca goes back to the base. If he does not reveal the base first, Chewie goes to the hidden base, and then I can pull off a Planetary Assault, and nobody can block it. Or, if he reveals the base and then rescues Chewbacca, then Chewie can defend against Planetary Assault. Keeping Vader behind doesn't do a whole lot of good, and putting Vader on Krennic's Finest's mission as well to improve my roll gives away what I've got. So he's going to rescue Chewbacca. I am not going to prevent that because I can't risk Return of the Jedi, because Hoth could attack up and do that. And I would block with Yularen. No, I guess I wouldn't because I didn't have him there. Okay, so here we go. Secret Rebel Base. So the move is Planetary Conquest. And what I'm trying to do is grab that token. But my problem here is that I don't have a great ground invasion force outside of the one on Celeste. So instead, I just live with revealing the base and killing a troop instead of trying to bring a full contingent to wipe the ground forces and then also take the token. So I didn't think this through. I actually thought that now that Show No Fear is revealed, it doesn't count anymore. But it's actually not the case because the token is still there. So we actually talk about this a little bit and realize that was a very critical error on my end too. I didn't want to have so few things in Bespin where I lost them to the Hoth ground assault force that could land and then prevent me from deploying there. But anyway, it was I definitely should have brought everything, especially since tow cables was already used. And that's kind of what I'm thinking through to myself now and beating myself up about. But game is not over by a long shot. We've got Mothma and Han on a mission. So that could be any number of things. But yeah, so that's what we got. All right. Soontir to move into Bespin instead of Vader. Why? Because I'm overly paranoid about Return of the Jedi. That's just the truthful answer there. Vader's the better guy to move in there for sure. But, what are you going to do? Hopefully I can deploy that last Star Destroyer there with this mission coming up. So yeah, we've got one Show No Fear point that's scored so far. So now I think Dodonna is debating on whether or not the right move is to attack Soontir or not. And he actually was not. He was just going to score this objective here. So it could be Crippling Blow, could be Seize Control. I need to try to prevent that if possible. Probably worth putting a leader there, come to think of it. Not Vader, obviously. But probably worth it for the rerolls. For 2 hits. For Seize Control to score, he's actually got to win the combat. So he may not here. I flipped the combat, I rolled first. I'm blocking a hit, which is nice, so I'll block that hit and take 1. And then Dodonna's only rerolling 1. Okay, 1 down, 3 on 2. I'm rolling first. I can either do damage or flip the combat. I'll flip it back and he'll say no healing. So I probably should have done damage. He does 1. I do 2. He does 2. All right, he wins. 1 left. See what he scores here. You think it's Seize Control? It's probably Seize Control. Nope, Liberation. All right. I don't mind Liberation. That's just basically a gimme. All right, I have some probes to draw, but first, before Bespin gets sabotaged, I'll drop that Star Destroyer out. So I've got 3 there. I could have had 4. Lando is going to build base defenses. Oh no, base defenses was blocked from earlier. Lando's going to rapid. And I'll draw cards. So drew Dantooine, drew Toydaria. Nowhere left to run. Not that Plant False Leads couldn't pop up at some point here and ruin my day. So if you look at the map, he's going to score another 1, maybe 2 this round. So I think we'll be all right. We'll go ahead and rule by fear. Probably should be stripping rebel loyalties, but did not do that. Oh, yep. There's the Kashyyyk move coming back to haunt me. Think back to when I trade negotiated Kashyyyk instead of taking something else up. He wouldn't have been able to pull loyalty on that. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that, so I think now we're in big trouble because that's Show No Fear plus Uprising. So I'll have to try to block this with Vader. 3 dice on 2 and a little 1. Or 3 and a little 1. I rolled 2. Jin rolled more. All right. So it is what it is. Got two leaders left to make moves. Not much to do move-wise. Everybody's already covered. I have that Star Destroyer. So we'll go ahead and attack Bothui here with the idea of removing Rebel presence. He's got 1 in Kessel and then 3 others, assuming I win this battle here, so that'll at least prevent outposts from being scored. Make sure it dies here by doing 2 damage. And then that ends that combat. Also gets me an ATST for the build. So it does a couple of things there. Really beating myself up about that planetary conquest. But what can you do? And Tarkin's consolidating power. All right. Another Show No Fear scores. We are now 1 turn away from the end. So we ended up getting back to where we thought we were going to be, basically. No Uprising. Interesting. Uprising would have ended it. But Show No Fear does score. So yeah, we're back to where we were. I'm basically just organizing troops here. I've got things up in Celeste, but I was just counting them. They're all in Bespin here. So the move has got to be, because I can't remove that token and it scores automatically, the move has to be protect against him scoring 2 mission points up front and also surviving the attack and then counterattacking into the base. So all of those things. So I've got 3 Star Destroyers and 4 Assault Carriers, wishing I had my 4th my 4th Star Destroyer, against 3 Moncals and a handful of supporting ships. So if you can see my chat, I'm doubting myself, but never give up. Got tag on Detain and a couple of other missions that won't matter too much here. And Han Solo coming out for the attack, and the fleet is waiting. So, what can he score here? With this, he can score, major victory. He could score crippling blow. I cannot retreat. That's important to note. He is down the cancel card, so he does have the Moncal and the Nebulon card. So he will I cannot play the flip the combat card, but I do it anyway because I put a shield bunker in there. Okay. All right, fair enough. So he's going to flip the combat, and I'm going to remove 2 damage with the hope that I can flip the combat back before too long here. So I'll roll first. Lots of crits. He does block a red. And then no rerolls for me. And again, the reason there's no leader there, I don't have track them. He wouldn't retreat in this situation anyway, I don't think. Especially if the roll went bad, the roll goes bad, and that's just what it was. If I put a leader there, then he'll sit there. So the decision is, how do I spread out this damage, right? I don't want to just kill all starfighters because I'm going to be rolling a lot of black dice for a long time. So I want to do some damage to capital ships. So I could try to go after the Nebulon, but instead I'll go after the Corvette and just see if we can get lucky and pull that thing apart. Okay, so he's got a ton of damage, but keep in mind I can remove 2 with the shield bunker card. So if I had played Overwhelming Presence, it would have been blocking 2 red hits. Instead, it's just removed 2 damage. So, it would have been a similar experience here. So likely he puts 6 on a Star Destroyer and 3 on a Starfighter, which then invalidates my card essentially. So comparing that to the shield bunker card, it saved me a couple of green dice. So that's probably okay. Now I could have been flipping the combat back next round, and he could play his no heal card at that point. So I think it is what it is. It's probably all right. Okay, so he wipes the... so he knows I've got a cancel card and an ATST card left. So what to play? I think I'll actually just do damage. I like doing damage. So what I'm going to do with the card that comes out next round, I'll just say no card next round, and just work on destroying stuff. So he rolls first here, cannot flip the combat. Imperials tend to have the edge in ground combat with this type of stuff, although I find them vastly inferior in space combat. All right. So, a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there. See how my generalless army can roll here. He did not wipe the shield bunker, which he didn't really need to, because I'm kind of far away from pulling another shield bunker card. The card I could have played, well, no, I guess that's not true. I was thinking maybe I played the no heal card last round, but if I did that, he wouldn't have flipped the combat, probably. Or he would have played it later. I don't know. Who knows? I never know what to play against 3 Moncals. If anybody knows, please leave a comment in the comment log. I'd love to know what the solution is besides just getting abused. All right. Rebels still have max dice. I'm going to block hits this time. So he's going to do damage to assault carriers. Okay, with the Y-Wing, just one single card because I nabbed the Y-Wings. I'm going to roll first. Do a couple of damage. And then no rerolls, and 3 black hits too. So I'm just going to load up. I got to get through these Moncals. Although I probably should be taking out the Nebulon if I'm being fair, because that thing rolls green dice, and that's just what's going to happen. All right. 1 heal. Lots of damage. But I blocked 2 again, so we're doing a good job staying alive. Healing the Starfighters, healing the Moncal, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 damage for a Star Destroyer, and a couple of hits for Strikers. Or he might just take out assault carriers at this point. Nope, another Star Destroyer. And 2 fighters on top of that. Okay, it's okay. Doing okay. Can win this with some good rolls here. All right, ground combat is a sunk cause for the rebels here. So I'll say I'll cancel his card. Doesn't really matter here. And need to figure out how to put some wings on that AT-AT. Okay, so total hit points that he's got in his space combat at the moment. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's kind of a good way to count it. I've got 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's fairly close right now. He definitely has the edge because that Moncal card's coming out again here in a minute. So I need to play the no heal card here, and I need to get a nice roll. That's what needs to happen here. He's played his no heal card, which means I can flip the combat here in 2 more rounds if I can make it. All right, so no heal and not a bad roll. I needed a little bit better. I needed 2 more red hits. But I will kill a Moncal and I'll kill 3 ships, or 3 fighters. I'm debating over whether or not I kill the Nebulon here or not. The Nebulon probably is the right move, and you'll see why here in a second. I think the Nebulon with an extra damage on one of the Moncals is the pro move. But instead I make the Ozzel move. Go for the Moncal. Okay. I've got a red damage card here, but he has a Moncal followed by a Nebulon card. He's already going first, so the Nebulon card basically can just heal the Moncal if he decides to play it. He might play it next round instead. Nope, he'll just heal the Moncal. Yeah, it doesn't heal it, but it does allow him to remove 2 points of damage. So I need to overkill the Moncal this round. Still have all dice, so still good. Okay, 4. Now I can just load up on the Moncal, which is the right thing to do. Gotta be overloading the Moncal, but not overloading the Moncal. What are we doing? Don't do it. Just put it all on the Moncal. You can do it. All on the Moncal. Don't let that card confuse you. Nope. We're putting it all on the Nebulon. Okay. Okay. Yep. And then heal on top of it just to rub salt in the wound. Yeah, if you didn't catch what happened last time, he blocked one of those 2 red hits we were thinking about, so it wouldn't have actually mattered in the long run. And then with 5 hits, Star Destroyer, TIE Fighter, and another red damage sitting on something. Okay, I got my cards back though, so he's going to think about this for a little bit here and decide to wipe the 3 TIE Fighters so that I don't play the TIE Fighter card. Pretty smart move. Okay, let's count points again. He's got 2 hit points, 3, 4 hit points, 5, 6, 7, 8 hit points, 4, 6, 7 hit points for me. Okay, TIE Fighter card would be great here. Don't have it, so have to go for the no heal. Going to go for the no heal again. He's going to do a damage. Flipping the combat would have been the better roll. but this is functional as well. We'll kill the Moncal. Didn't give him a chance to heal at first. And oof, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 dead, 1 wound on that, and that is good game. All came crumbling down. So yeah, rough round there. Couple of core mistakes in that, in playing the cards there and not thinking through priorities, I think. But you know what? It's tough. It's tough taking out 3 Moncals, even with 3 Star Destroyers, 4 Assault Carriers, and 11 ships or whatever I had for Starfighters. I really wish I brought that last Star Destroyer, but I mean, I sort of replaced it with the early deploy there. So yeah, just kind of what it was. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.